WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar. Good afternoon and many thanks for tuning into West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and all around the world on WADR.org. This is NEWSLINK. Here are the top stories. The chief of the Presidential Guard in Niger, General Abdurrahman Chiani, declares himself as president. The Gambia government joins ECOWAS to condemn the coup in Niger.
The fact that 3 out of the 15 countries of the region are under military is indicative of a reversal of the region's democratic gains. For ECOWAS, this is unacceptable.
ECOWAS and AU forge partnership with Liberian Electoral Commission for smooth October 10th general elections.
Both ECOWAS and the AU, whatever we can do to support your success in delivering, come October, the best election that has ever been conducted in Liberia.
And Senegalese government implements a 10-year strategic plan to combat irregular migration amidst rising death toll from recent departures. Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is James Ajapon with NEWSLINK.
Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin with a breaking story from Niger, where the leadership of the country remained unknown until moment. General Abdurrahman Chiani, the commander of the Presidential Guard, in a broadcast declared himself president after the coup on Wednesday. Proclaiming himself as the country's strongman confirms the ousting of former President Mohamed Bazoum. Abdullahi Hassan brings more details in this report.
The chief of the Presidential Guard, in a televised address Friday morning, justified the coup in Niger that overthrew democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Until his broadcast as president of the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Fatherland, CNSP, no one, including those in the country, was sure of who was in charge. According to him, the deterioration of the security situation forced the military to take over. The new Nigerian strongman said he felt under President Bazoum there was a political discourse which wanted to make people believe that everything is fine, while there is the harsh reality with its share of deaths, displacement, humiliation and frustration. General Chiani has been head of the Presidential Guard since 2011 after his appointment by former President Mahamadou Issoufou. The overthrown president in the meantime remains detained since Wednesday at the presidential palace in his private residence located inside the military camp. After Mali and Burkina Faso, Niger becomes the third country in the Sahel and fourth in the ECOWAS sub-region to be ruled by the army. The regional bloc and the international community, including the UN, AU, EU, France and the United States, have all condemned the coup and asked for the immediate return to a constitutional order. It, however, remains to be seen what actions will be taken against the state.
Abdullahi Hassan further to report. The Gambia has called for an immediate restoration of the constitutional order in Niger following a coup d'etat on Wednesday. The West African country also called in the military to immediately and unconditionally release President Mohamed Bazoum. Sankule Janko has more in this story.
The Gambia's foreign minister on Thursday issued an official statement expressing concern about the ongoing coup in Niamey, Niger. The Gambian government is closely monitoring the situation and calls for the immediate restoration of constitutional order in the country. They are closely following the unfolding events and are particularly worried about the safety and well-being of President Mohamed Bazoum. The Gambia urges the military involved in the coup to release President Mohamed Bazoum immediately and unconditionally and to respect the democratic aspirations of the Nigerian people. The demand for a prompt return to constitutional order in Niger comes shortly after the president of ECOWAS Commission, Amar Toure, addressed the UN Security Council to address the issue of unconstitutional changes of power in the region.
But Excellencies, the region is worried about the resurgence of the military in the political space. The fact that 3 out of the 15 countries of the region are under military rule is indicative of a reversal of the region's democratic gains. For ECOWAS, this is unacceptable.
Previously, ECOWAS had demanded that 3 countries, Mali, Guinea and Burkina Faso returned to constitutional order within specific timelines, and now Niger's coup adds another country to the list of ECOWAS member states under military rule.
All the countries must return to constitutional order within the specified time frames. Your support to the transition to constitutional order in all the three countries is not only crucial, it is also in our collective interest.
In a televised broadcast on Wednesday, a group of soldiers announced the removal of President Bazoum, who had won the election in 2021. In response, the ousted president issued a defiant statement on Twitter, vowing to protect the hard-won achievements of his administration and assuring the Nigerian people that their love for democracy and freedom will endure. For NEWSLINK and West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Jenke reporting from Banjul.
Amidst regional and international condemnations regarding the recent military coup in Niger, governance experts are expressing concerns about its potentially severe ramifications on democratic progress and the ongoing fight against jihadist militants in the sub-region. In the Sahel region of West Africa, Niger stood as a democratic outlier given the history of military takeovers in neighboring Mali, Burkina Faso and Chad in the year 2020. However, the situation has now changed as all four countries in this arid Sahel region, situated just south of the Sahara, are currently under military leadership. This shift occurred when soldiers in Niger declared that they had ousted President Mohamed Bazoum on Wednesday night. The prevailing questions surrounding the reasons behind this military takeover are raising eyebrows throughout the sub-region. As questions of why a military takeover engulfed the sub-region, WADL has been speaking with Ibrahim Akan, a regional governance expert on the development.
So we need to think deeper to understand what is happening in all these countries. The countries that you mentioned are countries that experience many coups d'etat and that also experience military in power for many years. If you look at Mali, when Moussa Traoré took over in 1968, he left the power in 1990. So after 22 years in power. So I think the problem that we are facing in most of these countries, and Niger, this is the fourth or the fifth coup d'etat. Since Seyni Kounché in 1974, up to 2011, 2012, Niger was just experiencing military regime. I think what is happening is the situation whereby the democratization process was not done in the way it should have been done.
So during incidents like this, the regional body ECOWAS issues a communique to condemn the act. And many have argued that this should not be about condemnation, but action. So what really is the regional body is not doing right?
For ECOWAS and for those who really want to avoid the repetition of this kind of situation, we need to think deeper rather than just looking at it as another coup d'etat that is happening in the region and so and so. No, it's deeper. We need to look at the reality of those society and what to do to really make the army an institution that will be serving the country rather than serving itself.
Ibrahim Akan is a governance expert.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. NEWSLINK continues.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union, AU, have pledged to collaborate with the Liberian Electoral Commission to facilitate a seamless conduct of the country's upcoming October 10th general elections. As WADL's Darlington Pogba reports, Liberians will elect a president along with 73 members of the House of Representatives and 15 senators.
During a meeting with the National Elections Commission, Professor Atahi Rojiga, who led a 13-member joint delegation from the African Union AU and the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS, emphasized the importance of maintaining the Commission's independence. He called on the Commission to ensure the upcoming elections are conducted freely and fairly, highlighting the significance of upholding democratic principles and transparency throughout the electoral process.
Both ECOWAS and the AU, whatever we can do to support your success in delivering come October, the best election that has ever been conducted in Liberia.
In response, David Ethel Brown Lassana, the chairperson of the commission, expressed her gratitude for the visit and described the discussion as fruitful. She appreciated the opportunity to provide the delegation with first-hand information about the commission's activities and the challenges it is currently facing in preparation for the forthcoming elections.
We want to thank all of you, including members of your entourage, for coming to the commission and for this discussion. We think it is fruitful in that we provided insights as to what we have been doing, and what some of the challenges we have faced, and what are the forward-looking strategies we intend to implement to ensure a better process of our electoral cycle as we move towards the 10th October 2023 election.
As the meeting concluded, the Commission is now focusing on preparation for the campaign season, which is set to commence in August 2023. For NEWSLINK on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Darlington Pogba in Monrovia.
The Senegalese government has taken a step in addressing irregular migration by adopting a 10-year strategy, which was validated by the Council of Ministers earlier this week. With a focus on several key points, the plan aims to tackle the growing issue of irregular departures, which has tragically resulted in the loss of many lives over the past 2 months. Wadr provides further details.
During a presentation led by Prime Minister Amadou Ba and attended by Interior Minister Felix Antoine Diome and other officials, Senegal introduced a new national strategy aimed at addressing irregular migration. This comprehensive strategy, which has been under development for several months, has involved the collaboration of various stakeholders to ensure a more effective and holistic approach to the issue. The Senegalese government strategy will center on 5 key areas to tackle the problem of irregular migration. These areas include prevention, repression of illegal migration activities, improved border management, the creation of better economic conditions within the country, and the implementation of support and protection measures for migrants. The plan emphasizes the importance of facilitating the return and successful reintegration of migrants. Felix Antoine Diome is Minister of Interior.
We
had to tackle both the economic and non-economic causes. For 18 months, we were able to talk to all the players involved, the Migrant Association, the grassroots communities, and the Association of Returning Migrants. We were able to draw up a comprehensive, inclusive, and participatory document at the heart of which is prevention.
The need for such a strategy has become evident as Senegal witnessed a surge in irregular departures towards Europe in recent weeks. As part of the effort to address this issue, a cooperative effort between Senegal and Moroccan authorities led to the repatriation of around 50 migrant men, women and children who were rescued off the coast of Morocco.
Wadr filed that report. Meanwhile, in the wake of growing security challenges, industrial security professionals have stressed the importance of fostering strategic planning, information sharing, and robust synergy among stakeholders in the industry in order to ensure the protection of lives and property. The professionals spoke in Abuja at the ongoing ASIS International Sub-Saharan African Security Conference themed Managing Security Risks in Volatile, Uncertain, Complex, Ambiguous, and Digital Africa. From Abuja, WADR's Usman Umar tells us more.
O'Neill acknowledged the perpetual challenges of physical security, but highlighted the significance of comprehensive planning, a strong network, and knowledge sharing as essential elements for ensuring effective protection in sub-Saharan Africa and beyond. ASIS International, comprising over 34,000 members globally, consists of security management professionals who strive to protect people and assets, relying on established standards and renowned specifications to excel in their roles.
One of the things that ASIS provides to its members is not only content and significant certifications and so forth, but is the notion that we're better together and that we're stronger together.
Seitha Roni, the representative of Norwegian Embassy and head of Chancery and Consular Affairs, emphasized the conference's importance and timeliness given its specific focus. He reassured Norway's unwavering commitment to collaborating with the organization in managing and addressing the escalating security threats in the region. Edward Orim, chairman of the local organizing committee of the ASIS conference, highlighted the event's significance as one of the largest gatherings of its kind in Africa. The conference commenced with a cocktail event honoring law enforcement and their leaders for their commendable efforts. Attendees and guest speakers from Nigeria, the United States of America, Ghana, South Africa, Bulgaria, and various other countries participated in the conference, which is scheduled to conclude on Friday, July 28, 2023. For NewsLink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
You are listening to NewsLink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM. Here is a reminder of our top stories. The chief of the Presidential Guard in Niger, General Abdurrahman Chani, declares himself as president. The Gambia government joins ECOWAS to condemn the coup in Niger. ECOWAS and AU forge partnership with the Liberian Electoral Commission for smooth October 10th general elections. And Senegalese government implements a 10-year strategic plan to combat irregular migration amidst rising death toll from recent departures. Still ahead, we have our guest interview and some sports update. Kindly stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
If you're just joining us, it's 16 minutes past 12 in our studios. This is West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM, Sacré-Cœur, Dakar, Senegal. Do join our conversations on Twitter, now X, on Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. A coalition of environmental organizations in Ghana is strengthening to picket at Ghana's Parliament House and the Minerals Commission Accra to protest against the passage of a legislative instrument which would allow the Minerals Commission to grant mining permits in Ghana's forest reserves, including globally significant biodiversity areas. According to the group, if the law is not revoked, it will accelerate the destruction of Ghana's already depleted forests. Atawin Bella Lawson has the story.
The coalition comprises several civil society organizations and environmental groups, including Arocha Ghana, Youth Alliance Green Ghana, Ghana Youth Environment Movement, Ghana Environment Advocacy Group, Atronsu Farmers, and Anti-Galamsey Group, Derby Foundation, Soy Africa, Youth Volunteers, Abibi Nkrumah Foundation, and the Eco-Conscious Citizens. Together, they have united with a common purpose to address critical environmental issues in Ghana. The intended protest aims to draw attention to the alarming destruction of Ghana's forest reserves and the pollution of water bodies caused by mining-related permits. Eco-Conscious Citizens founder and coordinator Awula Sewa expressed deep concern over these issues, underscoring the need for action to safeguard the environment.
Even in globally significant biodiversity areas, you can mine there with the approval of the president in writing if he believes it's in the national interest. And we don't think it could ever be in the national interest to mine in globally significant biodiversity areas. So the law, we believe, is an extremely bad one. We need to raise awareness about it, and allowing unfettered access to forest reserves is just extraordinary. Who does that?
However, despite their intention to hold the protest on Thursday, the coalition faced a setback as the police denied them a permit. Notwithstanding this obstacle, Awula Sarah remains determined and resolute, stating that the setback is minor and will not deter them from pursuing their cause.
Unfortunately, we haven't got the green light. As you know, the law requires us to notify the police 5 days before, which has been done. Unfortunately, due to security concerns, we haven't got the green light.
Reporting for NewsLink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Atiewin Imbila Lawson in Accra.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is The Guest.
As Liberia prepares for its October 10th general elections, the Electoral Commission has received a delegation from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union, AU. The two regional bodies have assured of their commitment to assist in the smooth facilitation of the electoral procedures for a democratic process. However, amidst various post-electoral violence and counter-coup mitigation measures these regional bodies have put in place, there remain severe ramifications on these actions following a lot of ousting of government in the sub-region, with the recent being in Niger. To a lot of political and security observers, the regional body has a lot to do than just giving assurances, sending delegations, and condemnation when these bottlenecks of democratic governance occur. Our guest, Anderson Meyamin, analyzed the situation comprehensively in his view about whether the Liberian body politic believes these regional bodies will do anything different beyond their assurances.
What I can say is that we've heard what ECOWAS or the regional body has said. Of course, we have no doubt that they will do as they've indicated, but we need to be reminded about history as well in terms of the things that have happened, what you just alluded to. So what we can say is that the Commission has to do more in terms of going beyond what is said to ensure that the actual implementation takes place, so that after elections across the region, we do not see violence or coup d'etat taking place. Of course, some of these violent takeovers have not happened immediately after elections, but the Commission generally has to do more.
So do you see these regional bodies assisting your country with, let's say, logistics, especially in terms of security apparatus, and even reviewing the EC's electoral procedures to see whether it is indeed a reflection of the registers or reflection of the mandate that your people, Liberians, have put in place beyond just coming to visit?
Yeah, there is a team in town from ECOWAS and AU, a pre-election observation team, and based on publicly available information, that team is here to speak to the different stakeholders, including civil society, political parties, and other actors, so that they gather information, including information on the legal framework, the laws, and the different policies we have governing elections in Liberia, so that it helps them to make informed decisions. Prior to their coming, there was some announcement at some point that ECOWAS would have provided support to the EC or the Electoral Commission in the tune of 500,000. So these different engagements have been taking place. But what I can say also is that given the experiences we've had in the past, not just in Liberia, but other countries, we believe that the Commission should do more in going beyond making statements so that they ensure that the right things happen. They hold governments accountable to their commitments to uphold the democratic principles and values, especially in the case of Liberia, whereby we've had a democracy that we've been nurturing over the period. So it's just important that we continue on that path, and that partners like the EU, the AU, and ECOWAS can engage with the government and other stakeholders in country, including civil society and ordinary citizens, so that the elections we have coming up in October are free, fair, and transparent.
So finally, what's the current state of Liberians after post-independence that focus the team on free and fair and inclusive elections?
Liberia is calm for the most part. Processes are ongoing for the elections to take place in October. Of course, like we've indicated over time, there have been some concerns from civil society and members of the public in terms of the timeliness of the Elections Commission in providing information to the public concerning things or delivering on some of those things that are required, again, at the end of the day, so that there is peace after elections, because we've been at peace. We haven't had the sound of guns over the period, like the war situation we went through. We want to continue on that path, but the actions we take can help us to continue on that path. And that's why we're saying that everybody has to get involved. Our partners, the media, we are very grateful to you as well for continuing to lift issues from Liberia and other countries. Together, let's work to make sure that the elections we have coming up are free, fair, and transparent.
Anderson Meyamin is a civil society activist from Liberia Center for Transparency. And here's Sankule Janko with some sports updates.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. news. CAF has announced the date for the 2023 CAF Women's Champions League. The African Football Governing Body says the competition, which is now on its third year in a row, will be played in Côte d'Ivoire between 5 to 19 November 2023. The 2023 CAF Women's Champions League will also help to assess Côte d'Ivoire's readiness in infrastructure as well as mobilizing the country ahead of the CAF 2022 Africa Cup of Nations. Morocco's ASFA won the previous edition in 2022, held in Rabat, Morocco. The winners of the competition take home $400,000 as prize money. In basketball, Jeanne d'Arc reached the final of the basketball competition following their semi-final victory against Dakar University. Jeanne d'Arc won the semi-final series against Dakar 2-1. In the decisive third game, Jeanne d'Arc overcame Dakar University 64-57 according to media reports. And Melila's sports capital Enrique Sola have signed naturalized Senegalese center Serigne Ndiaye. The 25-year-old who joined from Algeciras will play for Enrique Sola for the upcoming season. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
Thank you, Sankole, for that sports update. We have come to the end of this edition of NewsLink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening. And many thanks to our listeners in the Gambia via Hot 104.3 FM and New Me FM 94.0 Banjul, in Liberia via Alternative Future Radio 98.9 FM Lofa County. We also thank our listeners in Ghana on Radio Part 95.1 Savannah region and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi. Inyas Wilimo has been on the console. Many thanks to Mustafa Sek for our Facebook Live coverage. Do interact with us via social media platforms, Twitter, now X, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Enjoy your holidays. I am James Ajapon. Good afternoon.
News, talk, music, get it all 24 hours on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM.